March 2024, Naval Station Norfolk. A Virginia-class nuclear submarine sits pierside as dozens of sailors form human chains, passing case after case of canned goods, frozen provisions, and dry stores through the submarine's narrow hatch. For the next 8 hours, every available space will be methodically filled with food, not just in storage rooms and freezers, but literally everywhere. When this 377-foot-long vessel finally submerges for its 3-month patrol, food will fill every available corner, and crew members will walk on top of cans and cases until they eat their way down to the deck plates. This is the reality of submarine logistics. Food becomes the bulkiest commodity aboard these underwater warships and the ultimate limiting factor for patrol duration. Nuclear power means these submarines could theoretically stay submerged for years, producing their own air and fresh water from seawater. But they can't grow food. When the USS Pogey, a typical fast-attack submarine, departs on patrol, this roughly 300-foot-long and 38-foot-wide dolphin-shaped vessel must be crammed with enough provisions for 118 crew members for up to 3 months at sea. That's 480 pounds of food per day, totaling over 40,000 pounds of provisions. The storage challenge is staggering. Imagine fitting 3 months of groceries for 118 people into a space smaller than most apartment buildings, where every cubic inch serves multiple critical functions. Canned foods are preferred over boxed goods because cardboard attracts roaches in the humid submarine environment. Fresh eggs are dipped in wax and stored in the emergency escape hatch. Some shower stalls are converted into food storage compartments. Crew members literally sleep on cases of canned goods covered with cardboard, creating temporary floors in berthing areas until the food supply diminishes enough to access the actual deck. This is more than creative storage. It's a precisely orchestrated system that allows 135 sailors to disappear beneath the ocean's surface for months at a time, carrying everything they need to survive in spaces so confined that crew members must turn sideways to pass each other in the corridors. Welcome to the ultimate test of storage efficiency, where failure means mission failure. To understand the magnitude of submarine food storage challenges, consider this: a nuclear submarine measuring roughly 300 feet long and 38 feet wide, about the size of a football field but much narrower, must carry enough provisions to feed over 130 people for 90 to 110 days without resupply. This isn't like stocking a restaurant or even a cruise ship, where regular deliveries can replenish supplies. Once that submarine submerges, the crew must survive entirely on whatever food was loaded before departure. The physical reality is almost incomprehensible. Every submarine veteran will tell you the same story. We walked on food, slept on food. This isn't hyperbole, it's the literal truth. Cans are stacked in passageways and covered with cardboard or plywood to create temporary walking surfaces. During the first weeks of patrol, crew members carefully navigate over cases of canned goods that line every corridor, ducking through spaces that have been reduced to tunnels by strategically placed food storage. Some showers are completely converted to food storage compartments, forcing crew members to share the remaining facilities. Berthing areas become three-dimensional puzzles where personal sleeping space competes with cases of provisions. The emergency escape hatch, designed for life-or-death evacuations, doubles as storage for fresh eggs that have been dipped in wax to extend their shelf life to 60 days. This isn't poor planning. It's the only way to maximize every cubic inch of available space. The storage decisions require careful consideration of materials and packaging. Canned foods are strongly preferred over boxed goods because cardboard is susceptible to roaches and moisture damage in the humid submarine environment. Metal containers can withstand the constant condensation and temperature fluctuations that occur as submarines dive through different water layers. Every box that arrives on the submarine is unpacked at the dock, with the cardboard left behind to eliminate unnecessary bulk and potential pest problems. Weight distribution becomes critical for submarine stability and handling. Food storage must be carefully balanced throughout the vessel to maintain proper trim and prevent handling problems during diving and surfacing operations. Heavy canned goods can't all be stored in one compartment. They must be distributed strategically across multiple spaces to maintain the submarine's center of gravity within acceptable parameters. The space constraints are so severe that thousands of trash disposal weights must be carried to ensure that garbage doesn't float to the surface and reveal the submarine's location. Even waste management competes with food storage for precious space. Every decision about what to bring, where to store it, and how to access it requires careful calculation. There's no room for error, no space for inefficiency, and no opportunity for resupply once the submarine disappears beneath the waves. This is storage engineering at its most extreme, a three-dimensional chess game where every move must be planned months in advance and executed with military precision. Modern nuclear submarines are divided into three main compartments: the operations compartment, reactor compartment, and engine room, with ballistic missile submarines adding a fourth, missile compartment. Each of these spaces becomes a carefully orchestrated food storage facility that must balance operational requirements with the desperate need for provision storage. The torpedo room, located in the forward section of the operations compartment, exemplifies the multi-purpose nature of submarine space utilization. This area serves triple duty. It stores and launches torpedoes and Tomahawk missiles, provides overflow berthing space by converting unoccupied torpedo stows into bunks, and functions as a critical food storage area. The torpedo cradles on Virginia-class submarines are removable, giving crews flexibility to reconfigure the space for different missions, including maximizing food storage capacity when necessary. What makes this space particularly valuable for food storage is its size relative to other submarine compartments. Veterans describe the torpedo room as feeling like a basketball arena compared to the rest of the cramped quarters. This relative spaciousness allows for strategic placement of larger food items and bulk storage that would be impossible in other areas of the submarine. Canned goods can be stacked between torpedo storage racks, and cases of provisions can be secured in areas normally reserved for weapons. Berthing areas throughout the submarine become intricate storage ecosystems where human habitation and food storage must coexist in impossible harmony. Each crew member is allocated approximately 1 cubic foot of personal storage space, roughly the size of a briefcase, while food storage takes priority in every other available area. Bunks are stacked 3 high with narrow passageways between them, and these passageways become temporary food storage corridors during the early weeks of patrol. The ingenuity extends to spaces you'd never expect. Officers' staterooms, already cramped with 3 officers who can't stand up at the same time without bumping into each other, must accommodate additional food storage around their fold-down desks and sinks. The crew's mess and wardroom serve multiple critical functions: dining area, meeting space, training room, and in medical emergencies, the officer's wardroom doubles as an operating theater. But during food loading, these spaces also become temporary staging areas for provisions distribution throughout the submarine. Auxiliary machinery spaces, battery compartments, and engine room areas all contribute to the food storage network. Even spaces containing critical submarine systems, oxygen generators, diesel backup engines, and electrical equipment must accommodate carefully placed food storage that doesn't interfere with equipment operation or emergency access. Every hatch, every corridor, every vertical space between equipment becomes a potential storage location. The systematic distribution follows strict protocols developed through decades of submarine operations. Food must be accessible in a logical sequence. Items needed first must remain reachable even when surrounded by other provisions. High turnover items like coffee, which submariners consume in massive quantities, must be stored in multiple locations throughout the submarine to prevent supply bottlenecks during meal preparation. This isn't random stuffing of food into available spaces, it's a precisely engineered distribution system that ensures submarine crews can access the right provisions at the right time while maintaining operational capability in the world's most space-constrained working environment. The complexity of submarine food storage creates a logistical nightmare that would challenge the most sophisticated warehouse management systems. Imagine trying to track thousands of individual food items scattered throughout a space smaller than most apartment buildings, where a single can of peaches might be stored in one of 50 different locations, and failure to locate critical ingredients could affect crew morale and mission success. Submarine food tracking operates on a fundamental principle. Everything is 100% accounted for at all times. It has to be. There's almost no margin for error when you're operating months away from any resupply opportunity. The system begins with a pre-planned rotating menu that drives how much crews order of specific products and the amounts used to prepare each meal. This menu-driven approach allows supply specialists to predict consumption patterns and plan storage locations based on when different ingredients will be needed. The tracking methodology relies heavily on human expertise and institutional knowledge. While storage may look like organized chaos to outsiders, submarine supply specialists know exactly where everything is stored on the boat. This knowledge isn't maintained through sophisticated computer systems. It's carried in the minds of experienced petty officers who have developed an almost supernatural ability to remember the locations of thousands of individual items distributed throughout the submarine's compartments. The key is the rotating menu system that creates predictable consumption patterns. Supply specialists know that they'll need specific quantities of ingredients for planned meals, allowing them to calculate backwards from consumption to determine current inventory levels. They can tell you exactly how many cans of peaches should remain at any point in the patrol and have a working knowledge of where those 7 remaining cans are located among the various storage areas. Storage organization follows logical principles despite appearing chaotic. Most canned goods are stored in organized racks to prevent them from rolling around during submarine maneuvers, but when the submarine is fully loaded, additional provisions are placed in any available space using a systematic approach. Items needed first are kept most accessible, while longer-term provisions can be stored in harder-to-reach locations that will become accessible as earlier supplies are consumed. The human element is crucial to this system's success. Ships, stores, specialists, the unsung heroes of submarine logistics, develop detailed mental maps of food locations throughout the submarine. They work closely with culinary specialists to ensure that needed ingredients can be located quickly during meal preparation, even when those ingredients might be stored in multiple locations across different compartments. Communication between storage specialists and galley crews happens constantly throughout each day. When cooks need specific ingredients, they don't search randomly. They consult with stores personnel who can direct them to the exact location of needed items. This prevents time waste and ensures that meal preparation stays on schedule despite the challenging storage environment. The system works because it must work. There are no alternatives, no backup plans, and no opportunities for failure. Submarine crews have perfected this inventory management approach through necessity, creating a tracking system that would be impressive in any warehouse but becomes truly remarkable when executed in spaces so confined that finding a single can of vegetables requires both expertise and institutional knowledge passed down through generations of submarine sailors. The submarine environment presents unique challenges for food preservation that go far beyond simple storage space limitations. Temperature control becomes a critical engineering challenge when every cubic inch of space must serve multiple purposes, and traditional refrigeration concepts must be completely reimagined for underwater operations. Cold storage of perishable foods is available in only 2 specialized rooms aboard a submarine: the cool room, accessed through a hatch, and the refrigeration room, accessed through a door. These limited refrigerated spaces must handle all frozen and chilled provisions for the entire crew throughout the patrol. The scarcity of refrigeration means that every decision about what to keep cold becomes a strategic calculation that affects meal planning for the entire deployment. Temperature requirements follow strict protocols developed through decades of submarine operations. Meats, poultry, and fish must be kept at temperatures below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, while dairy products, vegetables, and fruits require temperatures just a few degrees above freezing. Bananas present a particular challenge as they cannot be kept at temperatures below 55 degrees, making them nearly impossible to store properly during extended submarine operations, which explains why they rarely appear on submarine menus. The timeline of food preservation follows a carefully orchestrated progression that determines meal planning throughout the patrol. Fresh food lasts approximately 2 weeks under optimal submarine storage conditions, creating a brief window of luxury before crews transition to preserved, canned, dried, and frozen provisions for the remainder of their underwater deployment. This 2-week fresh food period becomes psychologically important for crew morale as it represents the last taste of normal civilian dining before the long descent into preserved military rations. Space-saving innovations have revolutionized submarine food storage through advanced preservation techniques. Dehydrated, ration-dense foods represent a breakthrough in storage efficiency. A single 15.5-ounce can of green beans can provide 50 servings, dramatically reducing the storage space required while maintaining nutritional value. These space-age preservation techniques, developed through military research programs, allow submarines to carry nutritionally complete meals in a fraction of the space required by traditional foods. The engineering challenge extends to managing condensation and humidity in the submarine environment. As submarines dive through different water temperature layers, internal temperature fluctuations create condensation problems that can damage food packaging and create spoilage issues. Storage containers must be designed to withstand these moisture challenges while maintaining food safety standards throughout extended deployments. Power management also affects food storage decisions. Refrigeration systems consume significant electrical power, competing with critical submarine systems for energy resources. During silent running operations, when submarines minimize electrical usage to avoid detection, food storage systems must maintain safe temperatures using minimal power consumption, requiring careful balance between preservation needs and operational security. The integration of food storage with submarine safety systems creates additional complexity. Emergency access to critical submarine systems cannot be blocked by food storage, meaning that preservation planning must consider not just space and temperature requirements, but also emergency response protocols that might require immediate access to equipment normally surrounded by stored provisions. The next time you struggle to fit groceries in your kitchen cabinets or complain about limited refrigerator space, remember the submarine sailors who have mastered the ultimate storage challenge. They've transformed spaces smaller than most apartments into three-dimensional warehouses capable of sustaining 135 people for months underwater, where every cubic inch serves multiple critical functions, and failure means mission failure. These underwater storage systems represent a remarkable fusion of engineering precision and human ingenuity. Nuclear submarines can harness the power of the atom, navigate using sophisticated sonar systems, and launch missiles with pinpoint accuracy, yet their operational effectiveness ultimately depends on something as basic as where to store the canned peaches. The contrast reveals a fundamental truth about even the most advanced military technology. It remains constrained by basic human needs and the physical realities of storage space. The expertise required to manage submarine food storage rivals that of any logistics profession on Earth. Supply specialists who can mentally track thousands of food items scattered throughout a submarine's compartments demonstrate a level of spatial memory and organizational skill that would be impressive in any context. These sailors develop an almost supernatural ability to locate specific ingredients among the maze of stored provisions, ensuring that meal preparation continues without interruption, despite the challenging storage environment. What makes submarine food storage truly remarkable is its systematic approach to solving impossible problems through creative adaptation. Converting shower stalls to food storage, using torpedo rooms as pantries, storing eggs and emergency escape hatches, these aren't desperate measures, but carefully planned solutions that maximize every available space. The system works because generations of submarine sailors have refined these techniques through necessity, creating storage protocols that achieve maximum efficiency in minimum space. The success of submarine food storage operations reflects broader themes about human adaptability and professional excellence under extreme conditions. When failure is not an option and resources are absolutely limited, people find ways to achieve the impossible. Submarine sailors have mastered the art of living and working in humanity's most confined spaces while maintaining the storage systems that keep these underwater warriors fed, healthy, and mission-ready. In the end, submarine food storage represents more than logistics. It's proof that human ingenuity can overcome any space constraint when survival and mission success depend on getting the details right. These storage masters work in the most challenging conditions on Earth, where their expertise determines whether nuclear submarines remain effective instruments of national defense or become expensive steel coffins trapped beneath the waves.